Welcome to the second session in our first week. And just before we start, I would say if you have not subscribed, I think one good thing you can do for me is to subscribe to my channel. And then once I release a video, you can always be notified once you turn on the notification button. And what we are doing today is just a review of what we did in our first lesson. The activity I shared on the WhatsApp platform is for us to be able to achieve this. That means I have a title, Microsoft Excel free training sample data, and then I have another title by the side. We started this class 5th May 2025. And then I have these two new columns, and I have subtotal for the columns that have. Just double click. Since I can't see the totals, what I'll do is just to come here, click on it, and then double click anywhere. It will expand it so that I can see everything. And then I can make it bigger so that we can see it properly. So I just added totals to this. So I'll start with a plain document, which is this. And then the first thing I want to do is to insert. I want to insert two new columns. The first one, I'm calling it short months. The second one, I'm calling it projected profits. And I'm inserting it just beside the month number. So where is the month number? So I just come here and then I insert. Did you notice that if I want it to be after the month number, so a column after the month number. So what I do is to go to the next column, which is month name, right click and insert. If I come to month number and right click and insert, it puts it before it, and that's not what I want. So I come to the month name, right click and then insert. Now you can see that it is column 1 and column 2. So, and remember I said the first one I want is to make it, I want the name to be short months, and then the second one to be projected profits. So what I can do is either to double click. If I double click on the column 1, I can highlight it and then change it to short name. Okay, let me make it bigger so that I can see. So I can either double click, highlight, and change it to short name, type it out, or I can click on it, come to the formula bar, and then change it to short name, whichever one works for you. Then for the column 2, I said the name I want is projected profits. So what I'll do is click on the column 2 on the header, not from the drop down, not from the arrow. If you do like this, it's highlighting the entire column. So what you should do is to single click on the column header, come here and then projected profits. Remember I said you can also just double click. Once you double click, you just highlight it and then you type the name out, the name that you want. And remember I said from this we have the column is, I change the color to orange. So what do I do to change the entire column to orange? Just come here, click, it highlights the entire column. You can drag your arrow to the right hand side, it highlights the two columns. I do that again, click, drag and click. Then it highlights the two columns. And then I can come to the fill. If you hover on this icon, you can see it is fill color. This other one is font color. So make sure you are choosing the correct one. And if I click on the bucket, it changes it to that color that I can find, I can see there. But if I want to choose a specific color, just click on the down arrow and then you can choose whatever color that you want. If I want this, I just click on it. And then I have that. Right. So what's the short name? um, we are using this colon, which is January. So if I do January, and then I do June, automatically it brings suggestion for me. Is this what I want? Is it just the first three letters of that column? And once it's the same thing, what I do, I just press enter and then it fills it up for me. Now, projected profit. I said projected profit is the profit multiplied by 1.8. The profit multiplied by 1.8. Right. So this is the profit. Colon L is a colon titled profits. So what I want to do is to multiply the profit column by 1.8 to show me my projected profits. And remember in our last lesson, I said for you to start using a formula, for you to let Excel know that, yes, I want to use a formula, I start typing equals to. Once you put equals to, Excel knows that you want to start using a formula. Now I type equals to, I click on the profit column, and then multiplication in Excel is the star. That means it is shift and 8 on my own keyboard. Shift and 8, that is star. That's multiplication. So multiply by, then you type 1.8 equals to, click on the colon, the first cell in that column, and then times 1.8. And then I press enter, and then it fills it out for me. And if you look at the column P, the figures are not in currency format. So what can I do? I can highlight it, and then I come to just under the number, what do I want the format to be like? And if I choose currency, it changes it to pound sterling. And maybe that's not what I want. So what I can do is to I come here and then choose more formats, and then I can change the currency to United States dollars. And then I click OK. And then it changes it to that. Right. So the next thing we want to do now is to have the totals for the columns that have figures. So what I will do is just to come and then let me scroll from the beginning, and I can see that, okay, yes, this one has figures. And I can see it is units sold, manufacturing price, sales price, gross sales, discounts, and then sales. So for example, I want to start with the units sold, but maybe it's not logical for me to have a running sum for units sold, or if it is, but let's just have sum for that. So I want to have sum for column E. So what the easiest for me to do is just to click where I want the total, and then I click on auto sum, and then it highlights the entire column and asks if that is what I want as the auto sum. But because we cannot see this, we cannot see what the figure in that cell is, that's A702, what I'll do is just to click on this arrow and then double click. And then it tells me the total sum, auto sum. Auto sum just automatically adds it together. But if I want to use another method and say, okay, I don't want it to sum it together for me automatically, I want to select it myself, what can I do? I can just type equals to, go to the first column, the first cell, which is this, and then I come to the lower parts, which is the last one, and then I put my quotation to say, okay, this is from the range, selecting the range. And then remember that what I want is actually the sum. And then I open the brackets and then I close the brackets. So that's equals to the sum of E2 up to E701. And then I press N equals to. It is still the same thing as the auto sum. Okay, if I come to column F and I do auto sum, or if I come to column the cell F703 and I do equals to sum open brackets, sum is the addition, open brackets, then I go to the first cell, which is F2. I scroll down to the last cell. Remember that I'm talking about the range now. For you to tell Excel it is range you are looking at, then you just do colon and then click on the last cell. So it has highlighted everything between the first and the last cell, and then close the colon and press enter. You can see that the answer is the same. So whichever one is easy for you, you can do that. That means I can decide to say, okay, the sum I want to find is just from this, which is G687 colon this, which is G701, and close it. That means I am not taking the sum from the beginning. But if it were to be auto sum, it takes it from the beginning, although you can still modify the formula. Okay, I have other columns that have numbers. So if I don't want to be doing it manually, I can click on the ones that have used this formula. Okay, for example, this formula is wrong, so let me not use that one. So I do the auto sum again. Right, that's the auto sum. So now I come inside the cell that I have done the auto sum, come to the lower part by the right hand side. You can see the arrow changes to a cross sign, then click and drag it across. I can't see the figure, so I highlight again and then I double click. Then I can see everything. So if you click on this one, it is sum total of this, sum total of this, sum total of this, sum total of this. Instead of me doing it one by one, you just do it together at once. The benefit of that is that you may have different rows and you want to sum everything together. Once you've done the first one, you can always just make it to automatically sum the remaining parts. And it's not just sum. Any formula you have applied across the row or across the column, you can apply it directly to other, so far they have the same type of data in the rows or in the columns. Right, so the next thing we want to do now is to add a title to our sheets. So what I can do is to come to the first row and then I click insert. Insert will insert a row above. That means if I come to cell 6, I'll be row 6, and I right click and I click insert, it inserts a row into that cell, into that row 6, and then it pushes the other rows downwards. Okay. So I want a title. So what I do is just to right click. I'll do that again. Right click and then insert. Now, what is the text I want to have there? I have Microsoft Excel free sample training. I'll just copy it, but you can type it out if you want. Then I come into the first cell and then I type it inside. Now, if you look at it, it is overflowing. That means A1 contains Microsoft Excel free training sample, but B1 does not. So what can you do to make it look like what I had? Look at it. It is A1 that has the entire and B1 has nothing. I can't even click on B1. So what did I do there? Click on A1, click and drag it across up to say F1. And then we have different options under the merge and center. That means you can merge and center. What does that do? It merges the cells and then it centralizes whatever text you have there. It merges it first and then it centralizes whatever text you have there. So if I click on it, so that means the entire cell A1, B1, C1, D1, E1, F1 has been combined into just one cell. And that cell, if you look at the name here, it's just A1. I'll do that again. A1 has the text I have or the text I want. B1 has nothing. C1 has nothing. Somebody may say, what if I just drag and expand A1? If you expand A1, you can see that A1 is what is the cell that contains that data, that text, not B1. So expanding it will not even make it, wider into B1 or B2 or C1. So I do Control Z. So what I'll do is click inside A1, drag it across up until F1, and then merge and center. You can merge cells, you can unmerge cells. That means after merging it, you can unmerge it. You can merge across different options. You can give those a try afterwards. So I merge and center. So I can come back and say I don't want to merge. So I just unmerge cells. So it separates it again. But because I want it, so I just click on it and then I will merge and center. And then remember we have a color there. I'll show you what it is again. We have a color and the font is bigger. You can look at the font is bold and it's 28. So I'll go back, I'll come here, I click on bold, and then I come inside the size, 28, and press enter. Very big. And then the color, the fill, that's the background color now. You can see it is the fill color. Drop down arrow and then choose the one you want. Whatever color you want, you can click on it. And that is it. And you can expand or reduce the height of the cell, depending on you. Yeah. And then we come to the other side of it. And then, for example, I want to have what I have here is we started this class 5th May 2025. So I'll just copy this, copy it, and then come to let's say J colon cell J1, and then I will paste it there. Then I want to make it bigger. But there's a challenge. If you look at it, O1 and P1, they already have a different color. What can we do? You can just decide to change the color to white before expanding it, or you can just leave it since anyways, you are still going to change the color. So let's see if we just leave it. Click on J1, click and drag it up until R1. Then you merge and center. Make it bold, make it font size 28, and then we can change the color to maybe a green. The other option, if I don't want to, if I want this color to change to white first, for example, if I want to expand the cells up to N1 only and not the other part. So what do? I can merge and center. That's click from J1 and expand it to N1, merge and center, make it bold, make it font size 28, and then fill color to be green. Now, this other color is not looking nice. So what can I do? Click O and P1, change the color to color white. And there we have. Right. Another option, another function I want to show us is the undo and the redo. Now, for example, I've come here and then I want to change the color, the fill color to say a blue. And then I'm like, no, I don't want that. What can I do? Instead of changing the color, you can come to this side, the top by your left, you can see the icon there. It is undo format cells. Or you can click a drop down arrow and then it tells you what can you undo. You can undo everything you have done before saving. So once I save, I can't undo it. Okay, so I can decide to do undo format cells or format cells like that, like that, like that. Or you can use a shortcut, and the shortcut is Control Z. So if I do Control Z, that means I have undone what I just did. Now you can keep doing Control Z as many times. It keeps going back and back and back and back. But if you don't want to waste time, you can just click the drop down arrow and then you go. For example, maybe the first thing I want to undo is to undo, format cells or whatever it is, and then it will undo it. And redo is just the opposite of it. If you have done something, you have undone it, then you can redo it again. You can redo it again. That means, for example, I have undone the color I applied. I can come back and then redo it. And then the color comes back. Okay. Also, we have inserted colons in between columns. That means in between discount and unit sold, we inserted, another colon. So that's what we do for the short name and the projected profits. So the next thing I want to do now is to insert a row in between rows, just like I did before. For example, I want to insert a row here. I'll just right click and then you click insert. Once you click insert, insert a new row into that particular row where you right clicked. So it gives you a brand new row in that place. So the next thing we want to do now is to wrap text. For example, let's say in cell A10, I have Microsoft Excel free training sample data. Let me make it bigger so that we can see that. I'm referring to A10 and I have a very long text. And I don't want to expand the colon because if I expand the colon, it will make that colon, because of just one cell, it will make other colons to have unnecessary space before them. And I don't want that. So I Control Z, but I cannot read the content of A10 because it's been hidden because of the size of the colon. So what can I do so that the size of that colon is not wider than necessary and I'm still able to read everything in that colon? So what will I do? I will highlight the colon and then I will wrap text. Wrap text, just like the name, you are wrapping something. That means it gets to the end of the size of the column, it stops writing from there, and then it continues from the next line. But now the size of that particular cell is now wider. It's wider when we talk about the height, it's higher than others. I'll do that again, Control Z. Okay, let me make the color red so that we can see it properly. So I want to be able to read this in this column without necessarily expanding the column size. So what will I do? Click in the cell if it is just that cell I want to wrap. I can click in the cell and then click wrap text. But if I have more than one cell that has this kind of issue in that column, for example, I have this is very long and I have a couple of others that are very long, I can just highlight that particular column and then wrap text. So that means the column is not wider than necessary, but I can still read everything just by making those specific cells higher than they were before. What I want to do now is to format this to make it look more presentable. So what I can do is I can see that mid-market, is wrapping the text and it doesn't really look nice. Govern and then meant on another line. It doesn't really look nice. So I can highlight the entire data set and then double click. Okay, just highlight and then you can still double click. This is better, but if you want, you can expand it so that um, everything is on one line. And then let's say this is a summary of the reports. Let's assume this is a summary of the reports that I want to submit to, say, my line manager. And I want to make it more presentable. I can highlight it and then create borders around it. Now, I have different options to choose from. I can decide to just choose bottom border. For example, if the total, okay, let me put auto sum and then put total. Now, let's say I have total. Okay, so you can see it properly. Now, I have, let's make this bold. So I can decide to highlight it and then choose bottom border. So it's just this one, this last part that will have a border. I can decide to give everything borders. And then that particular part of the sheet stands out. Anybody looking at this sheet will know that, okay, this is a focus area because there are borders all around everything. And as I said, you have different options. You can choose bottom, you can choose top, you can choose left, right. You can decide to remove the entire border. That means if, for example, there is border on it and you don't want the border, you can just click no border. And then it turns it back to status quo. Okay, highlight it. That means if I highlight just the center and I come and I put border, the border only affects the highlighted parts of the sheet. If that was a mistake, I can highlight it again and then I can say no border. Highlight and then I put border. And I can change the size. For example, you want only thick borders outside. And you can change the style. For example, what I have now is just, straight lines. If I want dotted lines and I want, you can choose the border here. I can choose where it would be. If you don't want the top, you can see the preview on the screen. You can choose the color you want. For example, I want a red border. You want a red border, you can just choose where you want it. Everything I want red, and then you click OK. And then that is it. I can do that again. I click on it, click on the drop-down arrow, click on more borders, and then the style I want it very thick, and I want it all around it. But I want the middle, the ones in between to be, those broken lines. And then I want to change the color to, say, blue. And then I want red there. That's it. So by the time you print it, that's what you'll see on the paper. Okay, now I want to do how to insert a picture. Maybe you've got your company logo, you have a picture you want to insert in your Excel worksheet. So what you do is just to click in the sheet you want to insert it, go to insert, and then click on pictures. And then do you want to place it in the cell or you want to place it above? You want to place it inside the cell or you want to place it over the cell or above the cell? Let's say I want to place it above the cell. What I'll do is to above the cell from this device, or you want to choose online picture or stock images, but I want to use from this device. I click from this device, I click on my logo, and then because it's very big, I can decide to reduce it, and I can move it around easily. I can resize it so that it is not too big, and then it looks like a logo just beside my text. You can put it in the corner just as you want. You can also insert it in a cell. For example, I go to insert picture in cell from this device, and then I choose my logo and I put it inside the cell. If I want to make it bigger, I can expand the cell. I can expand the cell. I can reduce the cell size, the row size, and that is it.